Hi, my name is Allison and I make stuff. As always, I'm going to go through my sewing makes first and then the random makes at the end. Let's get into my March makes. So this month my husband and I went on a trip to Florida to visit some family, and I realized that I don't really own anything to wear to Florida, because if you've watched my previous videos, you see that I wear a lot of stretch velvet, like an absurd amount of stretch velvet. I think it's great, but humid heat in Florida does not seem to mesh well with stretch velvet. So I made this dress, which is a nice, flowy, really lightweight jersey. I bought it at a local kind of surplus remnants kind of store, so I don't really know the exact fiber content, but I would guess it's synthetic because it is very, very soft and stretchy and has a kind of like, I don't know, synthetic feel to it. But it was perfect to wear to Epcot because it was really, really hot out. The first day or two we were in Florida is actually weirdly chilly, and then all of a sudden it got really hot the day we went to Epcot. So the weather was perfect for this dress. It is still fall colors, of course, because you can put the girl in Florida, but you can't really put her in Florida appropriate clothing. I mean, I brought this dress that I made a couple months ago, I want to say. It was in one of my previous makes videos, and this is much more Florida appropriate, which is funny because when I look back at, I think I said in that video, I didn't really like the print. I didn't think it was really my style, but it was perfect for Florida. But I don't really need a ton of Florida ready outfits, so I made something that could do well where I live, and yeah. So this is one of my self-drafted patterns that I make kind of, you know, an A-line shape, and it was breezy and perfect for the park. So my next sewing make is a bit of a departure from the things I usually sew. I make a lot of dresses, some blouses every once in a while. I haven't made one in a while, but this is actually a shirt for my husband. He is tall and skinny and cannot find shirts that fit him right in stores. So I've made him shirts in the past that fit him pretty well, but I knew that if I wanted to make him any new ones, because it had been a couple years since I'd done that, I really wanted to make my pattern from scratch. I did, the previous shirts that I made and the pattern I made was based off a shirt he already owned. I just kind of did like cloning technique to get that. But this one I actually drafted from scratch, did fittings, all that, because I want to be able to reuse the pattern, and I'm not going to go through the effort of making him more shirts if they don't fit perfectly. So this one fits him pretty darn good. There's definitely some improvements I could make, but this was kind of a test run. This fabric was also kind of cheap from like a surplusy store. That way I could really make it and not feel bad if it didn't turn out perfect. I definitely think I need to give him more room in the arms. He can't really lift his arms as much. I think, yeah, there's some fitting I need to do with the sleeves. I'm not sure if I need to make the sleeve itself bigger or if I need to make the armhole bigger to give him more room. Other than that, it fits in really well on his torso. I don't have the time and energy to add all those buttons. So I thought pearl snaps would be perfect, but I didn't set them all perfectly, and some of them are a little broken. This just went through the wash. He's worn it, I think, at least once or twice. So I need to reevaluate my snap setting techniques. I bought the little clampy thing. It's not the most reliable, so that's kind of disappointing, but you know, I can always add new snaps, or I could even go in and add buttons if I wanted to, and at least the majority of the shirt is done, so that's cool. And I can see how it fits, and I can kind of figure out how to adjust the pattern from here. This is the first like fully made test fit I made. I've, you know, mocked up the sleeve and mocked up the body. He also has a weirdly wide neck, and so being skinny and tall, shirts just did not fit him. He could never button up shirts, so now he has a shirt he can actually button up to the top, or snap up to the top. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so hopefully, I bought some fabric a while ago to make more shirts for him, and I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. So yeah, this is what it looks like. It's not really exactly his style, this fabric, but it was the best we could do with what we found at the store for cheap. I think this fabric was like maybe $3 or $4 a yard, which is about as much as I was willing to pay for a toile. So yes, and you can see where the snaps in the front are broken or missing, which is unfortunate, but we can always fix that. This is probably my favorite make of the month, and it is this beautiful little dress I made. This is one of the fabrics from my Make 9 plans, I believe. And it's kind of hard to tell in the camera, but it has a nice little sweetheart neckline. It's very similar to the neckline I did for my red dress project dress, but that one had more angles and this one's a little softer. I made a dress, I want to say last month or the month before, out of a fall patterned plaid, and that's the same bodice pattern I use for this. In that one I added I think like a 1.5 inch waistband. I actually didn't end up adding any length to this one because I kind of just like how easy it fit. The 1 inch waistband, or the 1.5 inch waistband, 1.5 inch waistband is for when I want it to like super, you know, shaped, add a little more shape to my body. But this is like a nice little spring or summery kind of dress. Yeah, I absolutely love this fabric, and I had been holding on to it for a little bit. I bought a sister fabric, so fabric from the same line, to make a birthday dress for me back in October. And I am very happy I finally got the chance to finish this and create this. I really love how it fits. I like the length. It's a bit longer than the dresses I usually make. Yeah, I think it's like a very cute brunch dress or something you wear to tea, which is like one of my favorite things to do, is go to tea parlors or go out for coffee with friends. So this is perfect for me, being my fancy tea lady self. Yay! I did just a facing on the inside, so I didn't fully line it or anything. I think if I had added the waistband, which I was contemplating doing and didn't end up doing, I would have probably fully lined it because I like how the inside of that looks when you cover over the waistband seams. But yeah, this is just, it's a nice, simple, you know, afternoon project. I did end up on the inside, so I overlocked all the edges, and I did end up sewing the skirt part up. So there's like a little seam right here along where the bodice meets the skirt. But I don't mind it. It fits nice and it feels nice to wear. And of course I added my little tags I had made a while back. I keep on forgetting to add these to my projects, so I'm glad I remembered with this one. I think it actually, the colors really match, my tag really matched the pattern on the fabric, so I think that's a nice smooth fit. So that is my sewing make number 3. That was really it for sewing makes. I did a bunch of travel this month and I got sick actually right after I got back from traveling, which is why this video is a little bit late. I probably would have recorded it maybe last weekend, but I was really under the weather. So let me show you my random makes. This is my kitty Lynxie. I didn't make her, but she does help me with all my projects by getting kitty cat fur all over them, right? You get kitty cat fur all over my sewing projects? Yeah, you do, but it's okay. I still love you. So my first make of the month are 2 bars of soap I made. This one is grapefruit scented and it smells really good and fresh. I tried to do some marbling with some like peachy grapefruity colors. I don't think it really turned out the way I envisioned it in my head, but it's still a good bar of soap, smells pretty good, and the people I've been pawning my soap off of I think will like these. This one is a fragrance blend called, I want to say Autumn Equinox. I'll probably list it below because I absolutely love it. It's very fresh, almost like you're walking through the woods, but kind of a little florally. And I had a lot of fun just doing a bunch of random colors. I just took all the colors that reminded me of fall and kind of plopped them in there. I have activated charcoal and I have micas and oxides, and I really do like how this turned out. I think it's definitely eclectic looking. And some of them look a little bit swirlier. This side looks a little swirly. This side looks more like kind of chunks of color, almost like hearts too. Some of these look like little hearts. And yeah, so this is one of my soaps I made this month. I also made a huge batch of liquid soap, like a gigantic batch of liquid soap. This is olive oil, pure olive oil soap, so it's only olive oil. And if you follow me on Instagram, I actually posted a picture of some bottles that I had I bottled this up in and gave as gifts to some family, and I made little labels with my Silhouette cutter. I don't have any of them left because I bought only the amount of glass soap bottles that I was gonna give out, but I'll post a picture right here from my Instagram. I am really, really happy with how this turned out. My previous batch of soap, I did a super fat, which means I added more fats than will be saponified by the amount of potassium hydroxide I used. And I did that partly because I was a little scared. I'd never made liquid soap before, and I'd rather have kind of an ugly usable soap than a pretty but also not as usable soap, I guess. But this one I didn't super fat. I just bought like a big old jug of olive oil. I used whatever I had left, and I'm really, really happy with it. It's a little cold in my apartment, so it's a little cloudy looking, but the pictures that I have that I posted on Instagram, one of them is super duper clear. I do find if I add essential oil to my liquid soap, it does get a little bit cloudy because you're adding oils that are not saponified, and the saponified oils are the ones that end up being clear. So if any of you other soap makers out there have any ideas of how to get my essential oils into my liquid soaps without them getting cloudy, I would love to hear. I did some Google searching, did not really find anything. So yes, this is my liquid soap. This is not even a fraction of the liquid soap I made. I made so much liquid soap. We do use it for a lot of things in our household. So my husband uses it in the shower. I like using my bar soaps in the shower. And we use it for our dishes, and I use it for surface cleaning and stuff like that. So yeah, we have enough liquid soap to last us a long time. But we used to buy Dr. Bronner's by the gallons because we used it so much. So now that I'm making it, I feel like it's justified that I'm making a huge amount. Like I have probably two 2-gallon containers in the kitchen right now of the diluted soap. Yeah, but I also have soap paste, and I gotta say, the soap paste looks a little weird because it's been sitting in my fridge. But here's the soap paste. It looks very strange right now, and I think it's because my fridge is so flipping cold that it gets little ice crystals in the water in the paste. But I've had this sit out before because I thought that looks really weird. I hope it's not like anything strange going on with my soap. So I set it on the counter for a day or two, and I looked at it and it looked totally normal. So I'm pretty sure it's just because my fridge is way too cold. And this is a semi-diluted paste. So sometimes you can take the paste directly out of your crock pot after you finish making it, put it in containers, put it in the fridge. But I find that it's a little bit easier to work with if you dilute it a little bit. So this does have some water content, and I think that is what's making these weird patterns in my jar. But it's completely safe. It's totally fine, especially since it's in the fridge. It's being protected from spoiling or oxidization. It is an airtight lid, so yeah, it just looks really weird, but I thought I'd show it to you anyways. So yeah, this is some of the soap paste we have left, but this is still enough to make a lot of soap. And I've actually been making my liquid soap a little bit thicker. I don't know if you can kind of see that nice viscosity. Just out of preference. We've used it really liquidy, and it's perfectly strong enough liquidy, but I think it's just a little more satisfying to use it when it's a little more viscous. So, and I think next time I make a big batch, I'm gonna try to find some olive oil that's not so yellow, because this is definitely from the color of the olive oil, and I think if I find an olive oil that is a lot whiter, like clearer, that will make it look a little bit clearer, and I think that might be more visually pleasing. So yeah, liquid soap. So this has been my makes for the month of March, and I'm hoping now that I'm feeling a little bit better, hopefully you can't hear, I'm kind of a little nasally right now, but now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'm pretty excited to start on some projects. As you know, if you've watched my previous videos, I have a bunch of unfinished projects, and I also have some that I just cut out yesterday to start on because I'm really actually getting more back into working with wovens. I was really on this knit kick for a long time, just doing knit dresses, really enjoying working with knit. And now I'm slowly getting back into working with wovens, and I kind of like that kind of ebb and flow of my inspiration. So we'll see what happens next month. So I'll see you all in April. Bye.